Have you ever experienced a glitch in the Matrix? Well, if so, just go to astheravendreams.com and click the button to send your story my way. And of course, thank you. When I was younger, I used to be a major proponent of taking road trips, and I used to love getting out on the open road. As strange as it is, I love the smell of hot asphalt. That rubbery burning smell, something about it makes me want to drive 1,000 miles to a location that I've never been to. Maybe it's something about the freedom of the highways, but I've taken countless trips over the years to places that most people have never heard of, and I recommend everyone take a cross-country trip at least once in their life. That said, there is one trip, one of those cross-country trips, that actually haunts me. I think it was some kind of glitch in the Matrix, but I really don't know. I'm submitting this as a glitch story because I have zero explanation otherwise. This was in the early 90s. I was in my early 20s, and I was on a solo road trip from east to west here in the States. I'd pack my car with all my essentials, say my goodbyes to people that mattered, and I would set off on adventure, stopping and making calls at payphones along the way. The first couple days of the trip were uneventful. I was just going down the highway with my music, some truck stop food, and the joy of freedom. On the third day, though, is when things took a bit of a strange turn. I was driving down a 2-lane highway, a bit of a desolate stretch of road in the middle of nowhere. The sun was in the middle of the sky, making the shadows stretch across the landscapes, and making the air feel a bit heavier. I had been on a pretty empty stretch of road, and I hadn't seen another car or sign of life for a while. That's when I saw what looked like a person standing on the side of the road. He was tall, thin, had long hair flowing in the wind. He almost looked like a stereotypical hippie. He wasn't wearing vivid colors or anything like that. He just looked a bit lanky, had big round glasses and long dark hair that was tied back. He had his thumb out like he was trying to hitchhike. I slowed down thinking that I could stop for him, but something about the whole situation gave me a weird vibe. Something told me to keep driving and that he would be fine, and that I should not stop. So I kept going. As I drove on, I glanced in the rearview mirror and saw him continuing his travels on foot. He didn't seem upset that I didn't stop, so I wasn't going to feel bad about it. After about an hour, though, I was confused to see another hitchhiker. Not just another hitchhiker, but the same hitchhiker. It was the same guy standing there with the same bag and the same outstretched thumb. He had the same long hair that was tied back and same round glasses. Same overall look. I couldn't believe my eyes. It had to be a coincidence. There was no way that the guy an hour back had gotten ahead of me. I hadn't stopped or slowed down, and I was going something like 70 miles per hour at this point. For him to have gotten ahead of me, he would have had to have been walking faster than 70 miles per hour. Or teleported. Obviously, this didn't help my creepy feelings about him, but I ignored it, thinking that I was just going crazy. Until I saw him again, about another hour later. I know that sounds crazy, trust me, but I saw another man with the same tied-back hair, the same brown shawl, the same lanky structure, and same outstretched thumb. At this point, I was freaking out, thinking that I was either losing it, or that I was at the butt end of the most well-thought-out prank in the world. Was this seriously a bunch of similar-looking guys dispersed along the highway at hour intervals, just standing there to mess with people and making them think that they're seeing things. At this point, I decided that I needed to go ahead and get off the highway, and stop to get something to eat. Maybe I was just hungry, and my brain was doing something stupid. I went for about 20 more minutes down the highway, making sure that there was no way that this man could catch up to me if I stopped. I pulled off, went to a Sonic's, and got a burger for dinner. I sat there, ate my food, and then decided to get back out onto the road. I pulled out of the parking lot, back onto the road that led to the highway, and at the next corner, who else would I see but that same man? This time he was at an intersection, not on the side of the highway, and he was just standing there with his bony thumb outstretched. This time I stopped. Seeing this guy 4 times, there had to be some level of fate between the two of us, right? There had to be something that was happening that I could not understand, and we were supposed to meet. My curiosity had taken over my fears, so I just said that I would bite the bullet and confront him. I pulled up beside him, rolled the window down, and asked him if he was okay, or if he needed a ride. He nodded at me and walked over to my car, and put his hands on the open window looking in. The whole time he walked up and looked around, he had the goofiest smile on his face, like he was the happiest he had ever been. After a couple seconds of this, I guess you could call it analysis, he looked at me and said, "What's your name, bro?" I told him that my name was Gabriel, but that he could call me Gabe, if he wanted, and he just kept his smile and nodded slowly. After a few more seconds of terribly awkward silence, he looked back at me and said, "You know what, brother? I appreciate it, but I think I'll take the next one." His voice turned a bit cold, and he pushed himself away from my car, telling me to have safe travels. I stared at him for a moment, but then told him to have a good day, and started driving off. It was an incredibly awkward moment, and a conversation that I will remember for the rest of my life. The rest of the trip passed without incident, and I didn't see that man again. It was almost as if I needed to talk to him, like our simulation was telling me that, in order for me to continue, I needed to meet this random dude that I had seen hitchhiking in 4 different locations. And when I finally met him, he stopped spawning in, and I was allowed to move forward. It was a bit terrifying, not going to lie, but nothing really happened outside of that weird conversation. I don't know if he was some kind of ghost or glitch that I had to address, or if it was all in my head and it was just 4 guys that looked identical. Like I mentioned, I guess it could have been a prank, but if so, that was the most epically coordinated prank to have ever happened, and there was no payoff for literally any of them. No matter what it was weird. And hopefully you and your listeners enjoy it. Hi, Raven. The story that I'm about to tell you actually happened today, and I immediately knew that I had to submit it. For background, my husband and I moved into our new place almost 2 months ago. We love it here, but we decided to do this move all on our own, without any help, so it's been rather slow and at times straining. I work from home, and I also happen to be super handy. So, while he's been at work, I've built all of our furniture, decorated everything, have unpacked all of the clothes, and more on my time off, which is quite more than him. He helps me whenever he can. I more than happily have taken control over everything, my husband letting me do all the decor, This woman says yes. I'll get into it now. So many of our clothes still need to be put away in our closet. We also had to get rid of many things. We both just have too much. And sadly for him, about 50% of his shirts that no longer fit him. He's been needing more t-shirts. His 28th birthday was a few weeks ago, and one of the many things that I got him was a black t-shirt that said born in 95. I was born later the same year, so I also got myself the same born in 95 shirt, but in gray. I've seen him wear it a few times already, and I'm glad that he loves it. Here is where things get goosebumpy. Today we woke up at the same time. I got up and went to use the restroom while he changed. Today he wasn't working. When I got out of the bathroom, I noticed that he had put the shirt on. We went down to eat breakfast, and towards the end of breakfast we joked that I should put mine on as well, and we could match for the day. It's something that we haven't done before, and the joke became a let's do it thing. I have so many hampers of clean clothes to put away still, 3 of which are in our bedroom. I remembered unfolding my t-shirt while standing on the side of our bed and putting it away in the closet. But it wasn't in the normal part of the closet where the t-shirts are. I remember it being there because I wanted to wear it soon, and so I kept it separate from the rest. So I told him, it shouldn't be too hard to find it in the mess. I remember folding it and putting it in the closet from one of the clean hampers the other day. He said he couldn't wait for me to put it on. We then went upstairs so I could change and get ready for the day. When I get upstairs, I go to the closet, and it's not there in the spot that I had left it, which was the bottom drawer, which is normally his sweatpants drawer. I then start to have the weird feeling that I might have dreamt it, and that it was one of those instances where the dream was so real that I confused it for reality. My husband is laying on the bed, and I tell him, hey, I could have sworn I put it here, and now it's not there. I'm gonna start taking out the clothes from these hampers and fold the easy things until I find it. It has to be here because I washed it. He replies, okay, I'll be here, love. Take your time. I laughed. I might as well make something productive out of this. And he replies, I love it, and I'm proud of you. I hadn't worn this shirt since a few days after it came in the mail several weeks ago, so I was excited to find it. I made it a mission. About 20 minutes later, quite a bit of clean clothes are now folded on the bed. And that's when I sat next to him and told him, I literally folded it the other day, and now I'm questioning whether I dreamt it or not. He stated, yeah, I remember you folding it too, just the other day, and putting it in the closet in that separate spot, bottom drawer. I said, I think it was just a dream that felt real, but it feels like a genuine memory that I had, so that doesn't make sense. Like I remember it. He then says, yeah, now I'm feeling the exact same way. It feels like it was now a dream of mine too, but it feels like it was a literal memory, not a dream. I remember you doing it. So now at this point, we came to realize that we both either had the exact same dream, but from our own points of view, or have the same implanted memory that never actually happened. I mentioned in a light-hearted manner, we always talk and joke about what we're doing together in parallel universes, but what if something happened to both of us in that one, and we're now here, and we're both just having identical shared memories together from that one? His face actually got serious, and he said, I actually think about it all the time. All jokes aside, I actually wonder. I also mentioned to him how I've occasionally been seeing bright split-second flashes of white light, like if someone was taking a picture from a camera like Flash. He went on to say that he's been seeing the same flashes too. This is when we both sat there and realized that this memory was real, but that it didn't happen. Not in this timeline. I get goosebumps. Alright, well, I'm gonna keep taking out and unfolding the clothes until I find it, I guess. We have to match today, I said as I hopped back off the bed. I walked over to the hamper and picked up a shirt that was inside out. When I flipped it over, it was the shirt. It was oddly the very next item of clothing I picked up right after just having this revelation. I pulled it out and my husband got very wide-eyed. That's actually wild. There's like 90 pieces of clothing in these hampers and you found the shirt right after we just had our wild conversation? I got so many goosebumps, but my emotions were also mixed with excitement because we were now able to match today. I threw it on, but I thought about it a lot throughout the day. I truthfully think that we had memories from a parallel universe that something had happened to us in. And I wonder if his memory of it is what subconsciously also made him wear that shirt today. Okay, so last night, something weird and completely unexplainable happened. So, I'm 26. I live with my fiancé, my brother, and my brother's fiancé, and our house is weird. Like, the fridge will open with no one around, and then sometimes shut itself. One time I was home alone and left my room for 5 minutes because my brother's dog was freaking out, and when I came back, my ring light, that I hadn't used or even put together since we moved here months prior, was assembled and blocking the path to my bed. And one of the cats screamed like he'd seen some stuff, often when he's alone in the basement. My room used to be in the basement, but I moved upstairs after the ring light incident. Now, on to my glitch from last night. It was pretty late, close to midnight, but I really wanted to take a shower. I'll preface this with the fact that I was pretty tired, but I'm not confused. All was going well. I was listening to music and singing along the whole time, so I know that I didn't black out or anything. Anyway, I face away from the shower head unless necessary, so my back is to the shower. I have a leg up on the back of the tub, loofah on hand washing my calf, and singing to that Christina Perry song 1,000 Years. And then, the loofah just wasn't in my hand anymore. Confused, I looked to the hook where I always put my loofah, but it wasn't there. I turn around completely, and I see it. My loofah, hooked on the knob that controls the water. A place that I have literally never put it, as we all have hooks in the shower. Like, it was there 1 second, and then it really was just gone. Poof. And I felt very weird after that. I can't explain the feeling. I'm pretty sure that nobody believes me in my house because I'm obsessed with glitch stories, especially your podcast, but this really happened. And I would love it if someone had an explanation. And thank you for listening to my story. I have a lot of shoes, but I don't have any double sets. I have one pair of everyday shoes. They're black on black Samoa Adidas. These are pretty much my everyday shoes, my most comfortable shoes, and I've only owned one pair ever in my life, and I've had this pair for 10 years. I have never bought any other pair of Adidas shoes. I have 2 different sets of boots. I have some white tennis shoes, and I have some nice dress heels and sandals, and flip-flops, and shower shoes and house slippers. But I have one single pair of black on black Samoa Adidas. These shoes are great quality and have lasted me a really long time. I've never considered replacing them. I have nobody else that I know who would wear the same pair, and I've never seen them on anybody else who's come in or out of my house. My son has gigantic feet, and if he somehow had the same pair, they would be like a men's 16, so I really do not understand how my shoes doubled. I got home from work and changed out of my work shoes. I took off my work clothes, put on some comfy clothes, and I keep my black Adidas on the left side of my bed tucked under the box spring. I pulled them out and slipped them on, and I went for a jog. I came home, took off my clothes, jumped in the shower, and when I came out, I picked up my shoes to place them back under my bed, where they go. And there's already a pair of black Adidas, my exact size, in that spot. I had just pulled these shoes from that spot to go jogging. It's not like I pulled my shoes from a different location and I somehow have always had two pairs and never noticed. This is exactly where I pulled them from, and there is a set sitting right there under my bed. I pulled them out and looked at them. The wear is exactly the same, which you can expect is pretty significant for shoes I've worn near daily for 10 years. The nicks on the side, the spot where my foot hit the gravel when I fell a couple years back, it's all the exact same. I pulled out both sets. I had 4 shoes in front of me. I was sitting there feeling like my brain was broken, and I knew what I was seeing did not make sense. So therefore, it must be incorrect, somehow. I left both pairs out specifically so that when my son got home from school, I could ask him what the hell. Maybe he saw an exact same pair, the exact same size, outside in one of the communal areas around here, and brought them in thinking they were mine. Maybe a friend of his left them over and we just happened to have the same wear and same size. My son comes home from school and I bring him into my room to show him that I have 4 shoes, when I should only have 2, and he thinks I'm crazy. Because there is now 2 shoes on the ground. 2, not 4. But I know that I was not imagining it. I have always loved the quiet solitude that comes with fishing. I love being out on the water and away from the craziness of everyday life. It's always been my perfect idea of relaxation. A sort of therapy, you could say. I have a bit of a creepy story that actually took place not that long ago, in early June. It was early morning and I'd set out on my boat expecting nothing but a nice and calming day and hoping for a decent catch. I'm catch and release, so I wasn't taking anything home, but I was still hoping for a good time. The water was very calm that day. The sun was shining down hard and the sky was cloudless. It was a couple hours into my day, the only sounds around being the gentle lapping of the water and the birds going a bit crazy over whatever it is birds go crazy over. As I was sitting there, I saw something glinting on the water, something that looked a bit out of place. It caught my attention, and as I focused on it, I noticed it was a glass bottle just bobbing up and down in the water. My curiosity piqued, and I was also a little annoyed at the same time. I hate people that litter on the water. I reeled my line in and maneuvered my boat a bit closer before grabbing my net to pull the bottle out of the lake. When I pulled it from the water, I could see that it was pretty old and pretty gross. but the lid was fully sealed and it wasn't full of water or anything. I wiped it down and noticed what looked like a rolled up piece of paper inside of the bottle. I opened the bottle and pulled the paper out, and that's when things got a bit strange. The paper wasn't dated or anything, and it didn't look like it was that old, but it's what was written on it that confused me. The message was written by a man named Jonathan, same name as me. It started by saying, "I'm writing this on an early morning in June. The water is calm and there's barely a cloud in the sky," which was identical to how things were going on that specific morning. The letter also mentioned that Jonathan was struggling with some things in life, which is why he went out fishing on that particular morning. It stated that his father had passed away recently, and that he was going through a painful divorce. This was incredibly chilling to me. My father had passed away about 3 months prior, and my wife and I had recently agreed to split up. I was struggling with things, which is why I set up this weekend fishing trip. There were a few more details in the letter that matched mine. Not major details, but small things about how he was feeling, what he was planning on doing, and so forth. The letter ended with a quick note that said, "I'm going to have to cut my fishing trip short, though. The clouds are starting to build up, and I'm thinking that it's going to be a pretty crazy storm." I paused, and I looked up, and much to my surprise, the sky was actually starting to get a bit cloudy off to the horizon. At this point, I kind of thought about what I should do. Was this some kind of prophetic letter? Or was it just completely coincidental and I was crazy? After thinking about it, I decided to go ahead and wrap up my trip. The letter was too close to my exact circumstances to just not be something, so I got my boat to the shore and got it hooked back up, and I got all of my gear put up in my truck. As soon as I got out of there and onto the main road, it started to downpour, like hard rain, and small bits of hail level storming. I laughed at the craziness. The storm actually went on for the rest of the day, and it was heavy enough that there was a tornado watch that was put into place, because of the wind and the level of intensity that it hit our town with. Now, I'm not saying for sure that this was some sort of prophetic message from myself, from some other timeline or something, but it is crazy to me that I found a letter from a person with my name going through almost the same thing that I was going through, that ended with a message that predicted exactly what had happened. If I hadn't listened to that letter, I would have been out on the water when it was coming down like that, and it would not have been pretty. But that's my story. I unfortunately do not have the letter anymore. It seemingly disappeared at some point soon after that day, while I was moving my stuff, but I like to think that it ended up back in the water to warn the next version of me that ends up out on that water on a June morning. And hopefully he listens. In the summertime, one of my neighbors has a yearly garage sale that takes place on Friday and Saturday. My family usually checks it out, as my neighbor has a niece about my age, and sometimes she contributes cute clothes that I like to look at. It's also common for my dad to state that he saw them setting up for the garage sale on his drive home from work. Years ago, it was the weekend of the garage sale. The night before we went to it, I had a dream that I looked into a tub of wallets. I picked up a wallet, opened it, and found money inside. After waking up, I forgot about the dream for a while until later. My family arrived at the neighbor's garage sale, and it started out normal. After looking through some clothes, I saw a basket with wallets and small purses. I then remembered my dream and picked up a wallet. I thought it would be cool if I opened it and found money inside, like the dream. And, as you're probably expecting, I opened the wallet, and boom, there was $7 inside the wallet. I used the money to purchase my items at the sale and went on with my life. It wasn't until recently that I realized that my dream literally came true. The power of the human brain is spooky. Today is Monday, July 24th, 2023, and I had something happen to me again that I have no rational explanation for. Over the past 2 or 3 years, I've been looking for a box that has a kitten on it, and my mom bought it for me in September of 1998, when I was 18 years old. On to the glitch. I was upstairs in my mom's house looking for this box that has a kitten on it, and I went through like 6 or so large totes and couldn't find it. I went to this gray tote to look into it, and I didn't find it there. Right next to it was a larger red tote. I looked through it and still couldn't find it. I kid you not, I looked right back over at the gray tote, and there was my box with the kitten on it, laying upside down on the gray tote. Like I said, I looked in the gray tote first, and then the larger red tote next. It's like it just appeared out of nowhere. My mom was downstairs and was the only person in the house, and I doubt anyone in my family would play a practical joke on me. I'm totally bewildered, and I'm trying to find a rational explanation for it, but I can't. Over the past several months, I started watching glitches in the Matrix, and I have had several things that I mentioned in another video that I can't find a rational explanation for either. Does anyone have any idea what this might be? I've never experienced a glitch myself until last week. I bought a biscuit mix a few months back. Last week, my mom found it in the pantry and asked me to make it because she was in the mood for biscuits. I went to get it out because she told me it was right in the front. The biscuit mix was not in the front where she said it was. I looked on the shelf where all of our mixes are, and it wasn't there. I looked on all of the other shelves, and it wasn't on any of them either. I was very confused, but I figured that she might have just put it in the fridge while looking for the other ingredients to make them. It wasn't in there either. I looked in the can cupboard, and it wasn't there. I finally looked on all of the counters in case it was out, and I missed it. It wasn't in any of the locations in the kitchen or anywhere in the rest of the house. I gave up and just made some from scratch. The biscuit mix has not made an appearance as of this point, and I hope to find it someday, but I have a feeling that I just never will. So that, my friends, was this week's collection of Glitch in the Matrix stories. Yes, this one is a bit extra glitchy as it's on a Tuesday, but, you know, that's how things go sometimes. I wanted to start the month with a glitch video, and I put out the compilations of June's stories over on the what? I put up the compilations yesterday instead of this glitch video, so hopefully you all enjoy those, and hopefully you all are okay with glitch being on Tuesday this week. There is a reason I wanted to do that, because I want August to be a fantastic month, so we're going to start strong. That's how we're going to do things. And I promise you, it's going to be a fantastic month. I have a lot planned. Some amazing things planned. So, hopefully, you're all here to enjoy it. Yeah. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video and want more glitch stories or stories that aren't glitch stories, you can subscribe to the channel. Hit that subscribe button. I post frequently. You can also like the video if you enjoyed them. That helps tremendously. You can also super thanks, which is just a tip to the channel, a bit of support, a bit extra. You can also join or go to Patreon, where you get early access to content like this and other things, depending on what you sign up for and how you sign up for it. And then lastly, which isn't usually put at the end, but it is on Mondays, or I guess Tuesdays in this case, you can leave me a comment with what we call the word of the week. Now, with the word of the week, there's only one condition, haha, that you have to abide by. One condition you have to follow to get your comment on the screen. Now, that condition is that you leave me a comment with that week's word of the week before the next glitch video comes out, typically the following Monday. By the following Sunday is best, because that way it's in and I can copy it and have it ready to go. And I don't miss it. Yeah. I use the word condition because last week the word was unconditional, and so many of you expressed your unconditional love for various things: children, family, your dog, or my channel. In these stories, of course. So I want to say thank you to each and every single one of you that's on the screen right now and earlier, several minutes before now, because you all are amazing, amazing people. You all do amazing things for this channel, and I cannot thank you enough. So, thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I hope that you all look forward to August, because it's going to be amazing, I promise. So, moving on to this week's word of the week. This week, the word of the week is objection. Now, an objection is an act of objecting, a reason or argument presented in opposition, a feeling or expression of disapproval, or a statement of opposition to an aspect of a judicial or other legal proceeding. I put a statement of opposition typically in legal. It's not always in legal, but it typically is, so. Now, objection and objecting are things that are not necessarily legal terms, so hopefully you all can use them in a sentence, post them to this video, and then next week have your comments featured at the end of that video. If you can, awesome. If not, that's totally okay. Well, that's it, friends. I hope you're having a beautiful day. I hope you're having a great week, and I hope to see you again here very, very soon. Until that happens, remember, you are loved, you are valid, you are important, you're the best you that you can be. Do not forget it, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And until I see you again, my beautiful friends, much love, and sleep well.